Basic pre-flop opening ranges. In online poker games, your win rate starts before the flop. If your opening range is too wide, you bleed expected value through rake, dominated hands, and tough decisions post-flop. If it is too tight, you miss profitable steals and you cap your ability to pressure blinds. Your goal is simple. Build a default set of opens that wins against unknowns, holds up when you are multi-tabling, and gives you clean, repeatable decisions. Then you adjust based on who is left to act, the blinds, and the table dynamics. What an opening range really is. Your opening range is every hand you raise first in from a given position. It is not a list you memorize to feel safe. It is a tool that creates expected value through two engines. First, immediate profit. You win the blinds and antes when everyone folds. Second, future profit. When called, you arrive to the flop with a range that realizes equity well. Position does the heavy lifting. The later you act, the more information you have, and the more often you can pick up dead money. Context dictates strategy, but position is the baseline that never goes away. The hierarchy of positions. Think of positions as a hierarchy of permission. Early position needs hands that can stand pressure and play well with multiple players behind. Late position gets to include more speculative hands because you will more often be in position post-flop. First, under the gun and under the gun, +1, tight and value dense. Your range must survive 3 bets and multi-way pots. Second, low jack and hijack. You start adding more suited hands and some weaker offsuit broadways. Third, cutoff. You attack blinds and isolate weaker players, widening a lot. Fourth, button. Widest. You print expected value because you control position post-flop. Fifth, small blind. Tricky. You are out of position versus the big blind, so you open tighter than the button and with a more linear structure. Relative strength is everything. A hand like ace-jack offsuit can be strong on the button and borderline under the gun, not because the cards changed, but because the ranges around you changed. Default 100 big blinds online, opening ranges. These are solid, rake-aware defaults for 100 big blinds cash online. They are not the only correct ranges, but they are coherent. They avoid too many marginal opens that get punished by 3 bets and rake. When you face unknowns, this structure will not collapse. Under the gun, build a range that does not get crushed. Open around 14 to 18% depending on table toughness. You want hands that can call some 3 bets and hands that can 4 bet for value. First, value core. Pocket 7s and better. Ace-queen offsuit and better. Ace-jack suited and better. King-queen suited. Second, mixes ace-5. Suited to ace-4 suited. Sometimes king-jack suited. Queen-jack suited. Avoid the hope approach where you open weak suited junk and tell yourself you can fold if raised. In most pools, you are paying rake to see flops with hands that do not realize well. Hijack and cutoff. Add pressure without adding junk. From hijack, you can move to 18 to 22%. From cutoff, often 24 to 30%. Your big gain comes from stealing blinds and playing more hands in position. First, hijack additions. Pocket 6s, ace-10 offsuit, king-queen offsuit, ace-10 suited, king-jack suited, queen-jack suited, jack-10 suited, 10-9 suited, 9-8 suited. Second, cutoff additions, pocket 5s, ace-9 offsuit, king-jack offsuit, queen-jack offsuit. Sometimes more suited aces down to ace-2 suited, more suited connectors like 8-7 suited, 7-6 suited. Notice the pattern. We prefer hands that either make strong top pairs with good kickers or hands that make nut draws. That is how you survive aggression and avoid dominated payoffs. Button, your profit engine. On the button, you can open roughly 40 to 55% in many online games, especially if the blinds are not 3-betting enough. The button is where your win rate spikes because you realize equity cheaply and you get to apply pressure post-flop. First include most suited hands, most broadways, many offsuit connectors like 10-9 offsuit, and a healthy set of suited gappers like 9-7 suited. Second, Still be selective with offsuit trash. Hands like 8-4 offsuit and 9-3 offsuit add volume, not expected value, especially with rake. When multi-tabling, tighter button opens are fine if they reduce mistakes. A slightly tighter range played cleanly beats a wide range played passively. Small blind, open, but respect position. In theory, you can open wide from the small blind because there is only one player left, but in practice you play out of position in a raked pot. That combination punishes loose opens. First, solid small blind open, roughly 35 to 45% with a linear bias. Second, prioritize suited aces, broadways, suited kings, and hands that can barrel equity. Do not justify weak opens with set mining logic. Set mining is not a plan. You need fold equity, initiative, and hands that can keep betting when you miss. Who is left to act changes everything. Here's the mistake I see most from students. They open a hand because it is in the chart, but they ignore who is behind them. In online pools, your open frequency should drop when tough 3-betters are on your left, and it should rise when nits or passive callers are behind. First, 3-bet happy regulars behind. Tighten the bottom, remove weak offsuit hands first. Second, passive blinds, widen, especially on button and cutoff, because you will realize equity. Third, calling stations, tighten value slightly pre-flop, but open more hands that flop strong, draws and nut potential. Sizing, a simple default that works. Your sizing affects how wide you can profitably open. Bigger opens generate more folds, but make your steals more expensive when you get 3-bet or called. Smaller opens keep your range wide and lower variance. First, online default, 2.0x to 2.3x from cutoff and button. Second, early position, 2.2x to 2.5x is fine if your pool calls too much. Third, small blind, 2.5x to 3.0x can reduce the big blind ability to over-realize, but do not auto-size up if the big blind is aggressive. Rake punishes limping and bloated multi-way pots with marginal hands. Raise or fold is the clean default. Hand scenario, button range in action. Game, 100 big blinds online cash. You are on the button with Queen of Spades. Jack of Spades, it folds to you. You open to 2.2 big blinds. The big blind calls. Flop, King of Clubs, 9 of Hearts, 3 of Spades, big blind checks. Action, you see bet 1.5 big blinds into 4.6 big blinds. This is a standard small c bet in position. Your range has a lot of strong kings, overpairs, and good backdoor equity. With Queen-Jack suited, you also. Block some King-Queen and Queen-9 type continues, and you can improve to the nuts on 10 turns. Big blind folds and you win the pot. Common leaks, when building opening ranges. First, opening dominated offsuit hands too early. King-10 offsuit and Queen-Jack offsuit from hijack versus tough players is a slow expected value leak. Second, calling too much after opening. If you open hands that cannot continue versus 3 bets, you donate with fold frequency. Tighten or plan your 4 bets and calls. Third, confusing playable with profitable. In raked online games, marginal suited hands can be playable and still lose money. Fourth, ignoring table formation. A wide button range is great until the blinds are strong, regulars who fight back every hand. Key takeaway, your default opening range is position-driven. Start tight, under the gun, add suited value and strong broadways as you move toward cutoff, then open widest on the button, because position lets you realize equity and apply pressure. Stay rake-aware, remove weak offsuit hands first when tough players are left to act, and use simple raise sizes that keep your strategy repeatable when you are multi-tabling. Now, let's test your edge. Question 1. What are the 2 engines an opening range uses to create expected value? Answer. Immediate profit from winning blinds and antes, and future profit from realizing equity well when called. Explanation. The article defines an opening range as a tool that makes money both through fold equity, pre-flop, and strong equity realization post-flop. Question 2. According to the article, what is a solid under-the-gun opening frequency for 100 big blinds online cash games? Answer. About 14% to 18%. Explanation. Under the gun is described as tight and value dense, needing hands that can survive 3 bets and multi-way pots. Question 3. What button opening range does the article recommend in many online games when blinds aren't 3-betting enough? Answer. Roughly 40% to 55%. Explanation. The button is labeled the profit engine because position helps you realize equity cheaply and apply pressure post-flop. Question 4. When tough, 3-bet happy regulars are on your left, what does the article say you should remove first from your opening range? Answer. Remove weak offsuit hands first. Explanation. The article advises tightening your bottom-end opens against aggressive players behind you, starting by cutting dominated or low realization offsuit combos. Question 5. What online default open size does the article recommend from the cutoff and button? Answer. 2.0x to 2.3x. Explanation. The sizing section explains smaller opens help keep ranges wide and reduce variance while staying efficient in raked online games. Study hard, play smart. That's it for now. I'll see you in the next lesson.